Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to another Live Wire Sports Media. I'm your boy, Live Wire himself. So, we got to talk about a little news dealing with the WNBA. And it seems like they have a prioritization rule set in place that's killing the game in the WNBA, where it's not growing the game. Now, I'm going to dive into this because it's going to pretty much look at it from two different sides. But the main side is that the players is complaining that they can't play in the WNBA because the WNBA schedule runs in the summer, and some of them play overseas internationally. Now, Satu Sabli came out on a podcast and said that she feels like the prioritization rule that the WNBA has in place is kind of conflicting with them coming in and trying to play. But there's a lot to go into that's really complicated, because even though they come in, they don't want to play. They come in late, 3 weeks to a month, and then the chemistry of the team is off. Then the team loses games. Then they want a low manage because they're playing all of these games overseas, and then they are tired. So the WNBA had to step in and do it some kind of way to say, hey, you got to have to pick and choose. You can either play in the WNBA or you're going to play overseas. If you play overseas, you cannot play for us. And you have to be here by May 1st. If you don't be here by May 1st, you're going to get fined. If you don't be here by May 19th, you get suspended for a year. So, but then you have to look at it from another standpoint too, is that the reason why all these players go overseas to play is because they make more money. Now, if the WNBA was paying them more money from the last collective bargaining agreement, then, hey, some of these players will probably play in the stay and play in the WNBA. But the WNBA only have 144 players. They only have 12 teams, going up to 13 to 14 teams in the next 2 years. If the WNBA go ahead and try to push about 16 teams, I think they would do a little bit better. But so that is my take. But I'm gonna let y'all listen to what Satu Sabli had to say first. Then we could go back and dive in, because there's a lot to dive into this. There's a lot.
Well, I mean, as a player, I obviously criticize the prioritization rule that the WNBA implemented. I think it's really bad to punish international players, especially, coming from France. They can't come over at all anymore. That's just unfair. And I think the NBA does a better job of incorporating international players, also pushing them in the media. There's a clear disparity in that, and I think it's just great to see how good international teams can be, and that the WNBA obviously should, support us as well. It goes to media rights, to just, wanting to keep us in the league. And as of now, it doesn't seem like the WNBA really supports international welcoming play.
Do you have confidence that can change, especially for as well as Germany's playing on the global stage, when you come to these big tournaments, when other teams show that the U.S. is not the only ones?
Yeah, for sure, but I think that Kathy Engelberg can also make a stance in really wanting to incorporate international players in the new CBA, where we are in the new negotiations, and I think that can be a point that we can make, like, hey, maybe we were a little too drastic on the prioritization rule, and not only keeping, you know, the rookies in the 2 years that can in the end come, but then you're missing training camp, and that's like, you don't want to miss training camp as an international player who maybe only have one shot at it, but then you make a lot significantly more money overseas, so then what do you do?
Right.
See, the thing about it is that even though they making significant money overseas, but you gotta pick and choose, and that's where the old CBA comes in play. Now, with the new CBA comes in play is all because with the likes of Caitlin Clark, you know, attendance, viewership, all of that stuff, Angel Reese, the momentum that they bring into the WNBA, well, we know is no solely of Caitlin Clark. But these players now looking at the players they're looking at it and say, okay, well, we want to benefit from this now. You know, Caitlin Clark in the league, Angel Reese in the league. We want to play against them. Maybe we want to play against them. And this is where, you know, like somebody like Sato Sablé, who could be the #1 free agent this year going in, because she's, you know, this is the last year with Dallas. If she doesn't re-sign with Dallas, she could be a free agent. That could be somebody that somebody that could play with her and benefit from her, because you get more eyes on the players. But you have a lot of other international players over there, like Gabby Williamson, you know, Marina Johannes. So they are trying to find a way to be able to play overseas and come into the WNBA, and it's going to be hard. Now, the new CBA is going to allow players to dictate, and I think it's going to change a lot of how the players are being viewed and what they could do. You know, there was some suggestions about them playing, you know, in the winter, stretching their season to the winter, you know, over and then to this, I guess what, you know, into the spring, because the fact of the matter is that you got to think, you got baseball playoffs around that time, the World Series, you got the football season that's winding down, college football and all that. So you pretty much are going to be battling hockey and all of these sports around that time in the winter. Now, it's like I said, it's going to be hard. But let's take a look at some stuff right here. All right, so the prioritization rule requires WNBA players to return from overseas by the time the league opens in the season by May 19th. Players who fail to do so will be ineligible to play in the 2023 season, and Nora Fall will be one of them. Seattle Storm forward Gabby Williams could be another. Now, here's how the prioritization rule works. So, the rule requires players to prioritize the WNBA over international league. Was codified in the 2020 collective bargaining agreement, but goes into effect for the first time for the 2023 season. Now, mind you, it went in effect last year, but now with all the new money, all the new viewership hike, all the endorsements and everything, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, like the likes of Caitlin Clark bringing in with viewership, attendance, and all of this stuff, they had to go to the table and do a new collective bargaining agreement, which should help them. But players with more than 2 years of experience in the WNBA must report to their team by May 1st. If they do not, then they will be fined. And if they miss the start of the regular season by May 19th, they will be suspended for a year. So that goes to show you that before, like I said, players would come back and play, take roster spots from rookies or players that they trying to develop, and the coaches have to incorporate them in there. Then the players can't play. They probably get injured. They probably be tired. Then you got to load manage the veteran players, and then you got to look at it from another standpoint. Teams start losing when they already have momentum, and say a team like the New York Liberty, playing great, and then all of a sudden the person comes in and mess up the chemistry, and then they start losing, and then they could be, they probably have a great shot to go further in the playoffs, to go to the finals, but now they losing games. It jeopardizes their chances even more. So that's what you have to look at, that, because if the start, like, it's not like the NBA. The NBA has a slew of international players. Now, some of them make a lot of money, so half of them don't have to go overseas and play at all. The only time they play for their team is like the Olympics. But for the WNBA, it's not so, because the WNBA do not make a lot of money to benefit the players to stay there. And that's where you got to think, like what Breonna Stewart has come up with on Rival, where she's incorporated 30 players or more to pay them more money so they won't have to go overseas. Now, some players will probably still go overseas, but if they come back, if they league does not let them back in time for training camp, then guess what's going to happen? They're not going to be able to play. They're going to be fine, and then they probably won't get rotated into either the starting lineup or whatever the case may be. So the article continues to go on like this. In 2024, the consequences will get even harsher. Players will be suspended for the whole season if they do not join the WNBA teams by May 1st, or the start of training camp, whatever comes first. So, and this, it says, how did this come to be? Well, the prioritization rule was negotiated part of the WNBA's latest CBA, which was signed in 2020 and runs through 2027. Now, I do believe the new CBA kicks in 2026, or kicks in right after the old CBA runs out. However they do it, they could cancel the old CBA, they could start the new CBA, but they probably will want the new CBA to kick in sooner than later, in which the new CBA, I do believe, kicks in 2025 or 2026, something like that, because they have to, they got new media rights deal, and they want to benefit from all of this TV deal. And this is where I'm saying these players now realize that it's so much more eyes on the WNBA. Now they fighting to care more about the WNBA, when you should have been caring about the WNBA the whole freaking time. You know what I'm saying? If you had did this the whole freaking time, you would never had to worry about a situation like this. But this partly of the WNBA fault too, because you didn't take part of helping grow in the game. If you was able to allow some of these international players to play into the league, to grow the league beyond, like, stars like a Diana Taurasi that been in the league 20 years, stars like Breonna Stewart, stars like Nika Unawale, Tina Thompson, all of these other stars. If you have more international players playing in the league, look how beneficial your league would have been, because there would have been more eyes on the league. Y'all would have got more national overseas exposure, because there's so many international players playing over there in the league. So this is a twofold on both sides. You know what I'm saying? The players can't complain as much because you choose to go overseas to make more money. And the WNBA is at fault because they don't have the resources like the NBA to say, hey, let's allow more international players. Like the NBA, they have a slew of international players. They draft international players all the time. The hell, the WNBA just been drafting some international players, but half of them is not even playing. So you don't know who these players are. And there are some great international players that's playing overseas right now and playing in the Olympics that should be on a roster spot. But they don't want them to play because they don't want them to come and take spots from other players. But hell, you only got 12 teams. Now you want to expand to 13 to 14. I think y'all trying to expand to 16 in the coming years. There's other teams talk about, bringing back some of the teams like Detroit and Houston and all that. But guess what? How can you do that if you're not allowing yourself to be marketable? The WNBA is killing itself. If Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't come into this year, the WNBA would not got the new CBA. They would still be riding on the same CBA deal all the way to 2027. You got the likes of Cam Brink, Rika Jackson, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Then you're going to have Paige Beckers next. Then you're going to have Juju in a couple of years. Hell, this is the best time now with a star power that Caitlin Clark brings to the table to jump on other stuff. You missed the opportunity to add her or Angel Reese to the doggone Olympics to have more eyes and more viewership to make more money. You know what I'm saying? You don't grow the game the way you're supposed to. You got as much talent of international players out there. It's bad. I'm gonna show y'all something else. All right, I'm gonna go to the next article real quick. All right, so the WNBA Players Association agreed to do a clause as a concession to the league, so they could make gains in other areas of the CBA. The league was in place. The league was in a place of not a negotiation without it. The WNBA legend Sue Bird said of the prioritization, we wouldn't have got the money, the maternity leave without it. I'm not defending it. I want the WNBA to be the only league people play in. I want it to thrive so we never have to go overseas. And that's another thing too. And like I said again, this is why Breonna Stewart and Aficia Carter came up with the decision to bring in a league called Unrivaled so they could stop other players from going overseas. Now, Angel Reese has been added to Unrivaled. Caitlin Clark hasn't yet, but I think Caitlin Clark will be a part of that because it's going to help Unrivaled benefit more. Because if Caitlin Clark doesn't be a part of Unrivaled, Breonna Stewart could kiss that league dwelling by. Yeah, Angel Reese will be there, but if you bring in somebody like a Caitlin Clark, will you get more eyes on it? You could pump more money in there. You can market it more better. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, guess what? You keep players from playing overseas. You bring them into your league. You pay them more money. And then guess what? All these international players could play in Unrivaled, and they could also be able to be at training camp at the start of the season. And this is where the WNBA gonna have to look at it and say, hey, we're gonna have to maybe we're gonna have to move something. We maybe have to go a little further into the season, wherever the case might be. Maybe we should say, hey, we could do training camp a little early or whatever. You sign with your team. Something could give. All right, so looking at this, it says, what's next? Several players have indicated that as long as the salaries in the international league eclipses those in the WNBA, the prioritization clause will remain an issue. Emma McPherson, who has not signed with a WNBA team for the 2022 season, has said the rule is unfair to non-American players. And she is one of the best players that's playing overseas right now. And she hasn't signed with a team. Can you imagine her being able to sign with the Indiana Fever and playing with somebody like a Caitlin Clark and a Leo Boston right now? Can you imagine what the Indiana Fever team will look like? They probably would have been a 4 or 5 seed right now in the playoff because of a person like her caliber. There are players that need to be on certain teams. You cannot stockpile the same BS teams like like putting the super team together like a Las Vegas Aces or New York Liberty or Connecticut Sun or Seattle Storm or Minnesota Lynx. That's the 5 teams that's just carrying. You want to see back to back, but there's other teams that need. You want to get talent on them teams too, so the league won't be in such of a parity. In purgatory, I'm saying, where you always having a draft to draft a number 1 pick out of college. But damn, there's other players in overseas that could benefit and damn sure probably better players in the college, because you only gonna get so many players in college that come and play in the WNBA. So one more slide. Breonna Stewart, for example, signed a supermax 1-year deal with the Seattle Storm in 2022. The deal was worth $228,094, just a fraction of the 1.5 million year she made in Russia, which Diana Taurasi played in Russia also. Though she left the Russian club for Fairburns in 2022, she likely earned another huge payday. The WNBA holds its season in the summer while international players play in the winter, which has allowed players to stay on the court throughout the year. But some international leagues' late season schedule has conflicted with the start of the WNBA season. And maybe there is something that could be done about that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's something could be done about that. Maybe it's something that could be worked out. Say, well, you know what? Hey, y'all run this here. Can we have these players back? Breonna Stewart also took and said, hey, it's a complex situation, Stewart said. For an international player, that means the main thing is playing in Europe. Prioritization really limits players for playing in both worlds. Hopefully, in our new CBA, we're able to make the WNBA an even more attractive place for everyone. It will help if the WNBA move to a winter schedule when basketball is traditionally played. I don't think we're there yet, Stewart say. We got a lot of things to fix and handle before that. That will be very interesting because that will really make you have to choose. Exactly. So I agree with that, what Brown Stewart said, because let me see, you think about it. The season start in May. So you got May, June, July, August, September. The season stops in September. So that's 5 months. So you think about it. If you conflict with the winter schedule of the international play, if you start around, say you start in August, September, October, November, December. That's 5 months. Because you think about it, the WNBA be kicking up in August. The NFL season would just be going on. College football would be just going on as well. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. August, September, October, November, December. Yeah. Because if you think about it, that's 5 months. You probably gonna go up to 44 games. Baseball playoff, hockey just be going on. You got basketball starting in October. You got college football starting in September. You got the NFL just kicking off. So scheduling will definitely be an issue. unless you decide to say, hey, we start in October around the NFL season, or around November, a month after the NBA season. So you got November, December, January, February, March. That's another, I mean, if you think about it, that'll help some of the players from the international league get into the league. You know what I'm saying? If you start in November and it ends in March, then guess what? Then you bring on a Stewart on rival team that could start probably a month after, 2 months after, say around May, play around May, June, July, August, and have a couple months off. You know, a couple months off after the WNBA. Before the WNBA season start. There's a way to do it, but hey, like I say, it's in your hands at this point, because now the players are complaining and they seeing how much Caitlin Clark is moving the needle in the WNBA right now. So they feel like at the end of the day, these players want to be a part of that. And they can't be a part of it now to help grow the league, because the league is growing, but the WNBA they're gonna have to open up. They're gonna have to figure some stuff out where these players gonna be able to play. But like I said before, the players should have cared about the league before, instead of say, you know what, hey, let's just make the money we can. But like I said, the WNBA was handcuffed too, because they wasn't paying nothing. So these players had to go overseas. So it's damn if you do and damn if you don't. So, but they both, the WNBA gonna have to open the door a little bit more for these international players to come in, because there's a lot of talent out there. So, but again, let me know what you think about this. I think the WNBA is going to have to change if they gonna continue want to grow this league, as they quote unquote say they want to grow the league. Then they're gonna have to open the door for international players. They're gonna have to change some stuff. They're gonna have to probably move their schedule into the winter time. It's you got to, you know what I'm saying, because the WNBA season could run with college basketball too, around the same time. So it's there's going to be a lot of change. So the summer is really hard for the international players to get to in the league, unless they're going to have to update. The only way is one or two things. They're going to have to, the pay going to have to be more, and they're going to have to allow the international players to be a part of it, where they can't go overseas. And like I said, this is where Breonna Stewart and Nafisha Carlo comes in at, where they would lead on rival. And I also think, like, Ice Cube, even though he got big three for his guys, he should do a big three for girls. Bring some of let some of the WNBA players or overseas players come and play and pay them. There's so many ways you could do this, man. But you want to keep the same BS structure in the WNBA, and it's not working. Because you got to think about it. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are the needle movers of the WNBA. But you're going to have to order to span on that success that they bring in, you're going to have to open the door wider. You're going to have to open the door wider. That's the only way that is going to work. And right now, and you got international players complaining to play, and they can't play because of a rule. You know what I'm saying? But I understand it, because the players want to do what they want to do. Now the league say, no, we're not doing it. So we'll see when the new CBA come out. We'll see how it all takes shape. But again, it's your boy Loudwire Sports Media. Continue to like, comment, subscribe. Until then, I'm about to go to bed because I just got off of work this morning. So you know how that goes. Working that night shift.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.